volunteered for the Marines, yeah.
And why did you choose the Marines?
Well, I was always kind of a cowboy and Indian type, you know. So in boot camp, at that time it was only a 6-week boot camp. They pushed us through in a hurry. I had two choices. You had two choices. So I said the paratroopers or the infantry. I didn't even know about the Raiders at the time. And they put me in the artillery. So anyway, we went to Pendleton. After 2 weeks in the artillery, they put a sign up on the bulletin board looking for volunteers for Marine Raiders. And Jack Thomas and I said, this is for us, you know. So that's how I got into the Raiders. Horsfall was our squad leader at that time. And I told you I was a scout. And he said, Vanna, go and see if you can tie in with A Company. We hoped they were on the right somewhere. Anyway, I moved out toward where we thought they were. And I came to a knoll. And I looked to the right. And I turned my head to the left. Now, this is a fact now. I didn't turn my head. A spiritual hand turned my head. Now, this is a fact. When that bullet headed for my temple, instead of hitting me in the temple, hit me in the back of the helmet as I turned my head, swished around inside and stuck inside, and I was knocked out. A lot of blood. I know how you bleed when you're hitting the head like that. The blood's flowing all over the place, and I was only knocked out maybe a minute or so. And Horsfall, by that time, got over to me, and he put some sulfa on a bandage, but they said, you get back to the ship. So they got me back to the ship and put me in the surgery and scraped, I had metal in my head from the helmet. So they scraped that out. So the next day I went back to the front. Red and Richie were two replacements. And we called them Gizmo and 8-Ball. they were something else. Always talking too loud in the foxholes at night. C Company needed some help to fill up a foxhole. So me and Upchurch, like dummies, had volunteered and went out there. And anyway, nothing much happened that night. So we were returning the next day, the next morning, to our own outfit. And here a mortar barrage starts coming in. I mean, it was a nasty one, just falling all over the place. We didn't have a foxhole to go into. So we just jumped in a foxhole with a couple other guys, and all got together. And all of a sudden, we hear Richie screaming for help. A mortar shell fell right into the hole. So he's yelling for help, and I said, up, Church, let's go. So we go up, to see what's going on. And I'm telling you, the mortars were falling all over the place. I was a gambler, though. It didn't make any difference. Anyway, we get to Red, his arm was blown off, he was dead. But we took Richie out of there, and he was bleeding like a stuck pig, you know. But Upchurch took him on like a fireman's carry, you know, and I ran beside him. That was the bodyguard, I guess you'd call it. And we got into a cave, and we found that it was probably used as a first aid station because it had some plastic bottles there and so forth, and some hoses that they use for blood transfusions and so forth. So we used that hose and wrapped it around his leg, really up near the thigh, and we stopped the bleeding. And then a Charlie Company corpsman came in and they took care of him. He lost his leg, but at least he lived. For the most part, we were really close. All the guys were close. But Godwin and Fred Aerosmith had a personality conflict of some kind. So anyway, we were in the same squad. I was the squad leader at that time. And we were on the side of a hill in the valley below. And the word came up, hold your fire. And Roy was up to my left, maybe 50 feet or so, not even that. And he lets a round go down into the valley. I said, hey, Roy, did you hear him? I said, hold your fire. He said, there's Japs down there. And then there's probably a Nembu, which is a Jap machine gun similar to our BAR. And a lot of dirt blew up in front of Roy's position. And he says, what'd I say? What'd I say? He was from North Carolina. And that was his last words. The next burst got him. The first one out to him is Aerosmith. The guy that don't get along with him. And of course the Nimbu gets him also, and he falls into his arms. So we throw out a smoke grenade to cover our advance up to get him. When I get up there, they're in each other's arms. Their blood flowing into each other. It was unbelievable. They were just a great bunch of guys. That was probably the most exciting part about the whole experience was the guys we shared together. You know, you were really blood brothers without any kidding. You know they'd risk their lives for you, and I would for them. They knew that, and it was done time and time again. The power of prayer was like an armor in battle. Whenever a challenging situation would come up, I said, God, it's up to you. He's the one that's going to make the choice. He took Roy, he took Al, took Jimmy Harpst, and Lieutenant Dodds, and Morbiletti, and I don't know why. We can't explain that. But all I know is that I said, it's in your hands, Lord. Life is a battle, just like combat is. And again, the power of prayer. I mean, if you really want strength and courage, that's where it comes from. But you really must believe.